Celeb Savant is a career retrospective type interview focusing on singers, actors, and industry experts. Join Barrett Edelstein now as he dives into the entertainment world.
South African Kwelagobe Sekele is a seasoned music industry veteran with a multifaceted career spanning 2 decades. His journey began as a dynamic frontman and leader for the pioneering Afro-funk band Kwani Experience. Kwela's career trajectory has been marked by his ability to seamlessly transition between creative and strategic roles. As head of A&R Publishing, music supervisor and curator for Gallo Music, the music arena, Kwela leverages his extensive experience to nurture and promote new legacy talent while preserving and revitalizing our rich musical heritage through creative research, curating and contextualizing of Gallo's extensive catalog. Gallo Music is the longest-running independent recording label and music publisher in Africa, managing the largest catalog of African master recordings in the world and providing one-stop music services to an impressive roster of artists and collaborators. The company has traveled an epic journey from Brunswick Gramophone House, a small music shop in 1926 downtown Johannesburg, to a recording giant with diversified subsidiaries and international partnerships. Up next on Celeb Savant, live in studio at Solid Gold Podcasts in Randburg, Johannesburg, South Africa, discussing his journey in the entertainment industry and the centenary anniversary of Gallo Music Africa is Kwelagobe Sekele. Welcome to the interviewer's seat today. How are we doing?
I'm good. I'm, hanging in there. First quarter burnout, but, we push.
Well, that's good. Pushing is always good. Yeah. Like they said in Finding Nemo, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. Yep. Let's dive into your journey first. Take us back. At what age, whether as a child or teenager, did you think, okay, I want to be in this entertainment world? And how did that journey progress?
I must have been around 14, 15 when I started being seduced by the world of music. And I was like, oh, maybe one day I could have a record label of my own. I would look at these American record labels and how they were kind of like communities of artists and producers, and I kind of liked the idea of having a community of people you can collaborate with and work together. So for me, the idea of a label was that. And weirdly, I also wanted to be a DJ, which is weird because I don't want to be a DJ at all. I guess that's when music started stealing my attention, because before that I wanted to be a computer scientist. My family always said I must be a lawyer because I was lazy, and all I did was read. They were like, all you do is read. You should just be a lawyer. And I was like, lawyer, So teenage years, I started writing lyrics at I don't remember the age, but 97, 14. At 14, I started having a deep interest in music. But besides the record label, the DJing, and the lyricism, I never really had big ideas of music. It was very inaccessible. The only examples you saw was on TV, on radio. So I never really had any idea of how it worked, whatever. But only later, after matric, where I was like, okay, cool, maybe I can pursue this thing.
And what were the next steps?
The next steps, I remember actually walking into Gallo Studios in town. I'm not sure if they were Gallo then or RPM. I think they were already Gallo Studios, downtown studios. And I had a rap crew, and I said to them, guys, it looks like we need to record something. Cool. I'll go find a studio, and already we'd walk around trying to find studios, and we knew Gallo Studios / Downtown Studios. And I went to town and I walked in and said, I'm looking for a studio. And they said, sit down. That's not how it works. There was a lady, I think her name was Waruna, a receptionist. I might be wrong, but I think her name was Waruna. She sat me down and she basically gave me a crash course on how the music industry works. And thanks to her, wherever she is, I never bumped into her after that. She kind of gave me a quick masterclass on how things work. You don't do this. This is what you do. And going back to my rap crew, I didn't go with a booked studio or prospects of recording. I went back with knowledge and information on the industry.
So you've had different iterations within the industry, performing, music supervisor in television, being part of Gallo, having that knowledge that you received on that day, did that help and give the foundation for all these different levels, or was it more knowledge that you gained over a period of time that gave you those different levels or fingers in different areas of the industry?
I think it's a bit of both. Whatever seed she planted in me then in 2001 was a foundation, kind of a foundation. I've always been a curious person, was a curious child, very inquisitive, reading, trying to find if I don't understand anything, whether it was history or whatever topic I wanted to understand, I would just kind of zone in and read about it. So yeah, what she gave me was definitely a seed that she planted, and it sprouted. And you go into music, it's a very complex world. The music industry is an extremely complex world, but because of my curiosity, I was always give myself challenges to say, cool, I don't understand this. I'm going to try and understand it. Let's go. If it takes 2 months, 6 months, I will understand this. I will immerse myself in this thing. Music publishing, for instance, is one of the things when I came into the industry in 2004 or 5, didn't understand. To this day, a lot of people don't understand how music publishing works, but I said, I don't understand this thing, but I will understand it. Let me just keep reading. And definitely along the way, we're still learning, still a very dynamic industry, still learnings every day, even in what we do, even if we are experts and specialists, we are still learning because there are always new avenues. My good friend DJ Bob, years ago when we spoke, and he said, a lot of people are studying for professions that won't exist in 10 years time. And, this was in 2010. And I was like, I never thought of it like that. And it's true. There's a lot of things now that are new. AI is new. There's a lot of frontiers. We're exploring as human beings. We're always exploring as professionals. So we are still learning. I'm still learning on a daily.
Having gained this knowledge and as you are still learning, how much do you believe, and I'm gathering that you'll have a firm answer around this, is it for artists to understand all aspects of the industry? And even if they don't have a full understanding, have a basic knowledge so that they could then delegate to someone who has a fuller knowledge on publishing, on royalties and all that kind of stuff, so they know how to make money, how to do these different things. What is your advice to an artist who is potentially struggling, and what would you say to them if they're like, oh, no, I don't really need to know about this?
I think you need to know about it. It's important to have all the information. When we were growing up, there's a saying, and it's not popular anymore, knowledge is power. These are some of the sayings, idioms that I held on to growing up, because I was like, oh, what does that mean? Knowledge is power. Cool. Then I'll find as much knowledge as possible because it's power. So I think it's very important to understand the field in which you work. If you're an instrumentalist, don't only understand your instrument, but music theory, understand the manufacturing. How is your instrument made? Luckily, a lot of instrumentalists understand the anatomy of the instrument and how it's made. If you're a keyboardist, understand how a keyboard is made. Be curious about what's happening inside the supply chain. The pyramid. What's happening? Where does this thing come from? Who manufactures it? Who's the company? Who owns the company? How is it set up? Where is it headquartered? Some trivial information, some stuff that seems like it's not important, but to me is important. I want to know where Moog is made. I want to know where Behringer is made. Who owns Behringer? What's their stock price, etc. So, that's the economics of it. But who else uses Behringer? How did it come about? What is the history? Who are the competitors? Just know. It's important to understand across the field, so then you know what you are dealing with. Filmmakers, for instance, understand film. You can be a director, but you don't only understand performance and directing. You understand the ecosystem of the film industry, cameras, etc., the gear, lighting, what kind of lighting, the producer's role, everybody's role, but you understand your field. So I think it's extremely important to know. And there's a lot of information today compared to in 2005 when we started. There was a book everybody had, and this book kept being added onto with newer editions, etc. There was no internet. There was internet in 2002, I'm lying. But information was very slim.
And very slow.
And very slow. It was dial-up, etc. So it was very minimal information, very minimal. And I know we still want to talk about that. That's where also my kind of love for the Gallo catalog started, because I realized there wasn't much information on artists that I wanted to learn about, whether it was Dick Khoza or whoever. There wasn't anything. These are artists you knew only from the music. And if you were lucky to have the CD, maybe there were liner notes or there was information there. There was personnel. You would get, at least have an idea of who played on which song or who composed what. You know, you see things like that. Oh, so-and-so composed this song. Oh, this one was composed by so-and-so. What does that mean? Oh, this says published by. What does that even mean? Published by. I thought, oh, the record companies. Oh, now there's information. Now there's AI assist. You can actually sit and a lot of people are using AI assist as search engine, as their search engine now. There is a lot of information. There's no reason to not know anything now in 2026. Yeah. There is a lot. There's a lot of information. You can verify it. There's a lot of false information, but you can take this piece of information and that piece of information, compare them and verify, fact check. There are a lot of tools to learn about the industry, and I feel sad when I see young artists not aware. You expect them to know better than us because, you know, they grew up with devices, etc. But yeah, like I said, the industry is very complex. So I also understand, to be fair to them, I also understand that not everyone knows where to go.
What is your current role at Gallo?
My current role at Gallo, I head up sync, curation, and repertoire. Sounds like a lot of things in one, but these are things that kind of work together and are threaded. I'd say curation is the thread, and curation is pretty much creative research, going into the catalog, finding stories, mining stories, and creating new knowledge out of them, which the knowledge now is content. Creating content, contextualizing, making sure these artists are not forgotten, this music is not forgotten, etc. Because if you think of any artists that came to Gallo, whether it was Miriam Makeba, Ismail Black Mambazo, maybe those are not best examples, but what you read on artists is mostly reviews and short articles, etc. You know, you don't have spreads like newspapers and magazines did years ago. It's really that. It's trying to find, what is this song? So where to end? What is this song about? Oh, this song was written on June 16, but it was not for the student uprising. It just so happened that it was recorded on the same day. Oh, and this is why it was called So Where to End, etc. You know, granular information, going deeper into the songs, going deeper into the artist's lives. Who is this artist? Who is Hilda Klobatla? How did she become a member of Mahotela Queens? Oh, she came here when she was 12, 13. You know what I'm saying? When she was still a teenager, and she chose music over going to school, etc. Where was Gallo founded? Where were the offices? You know, so it's curation, I would say, is what ties all of these together, because the music is there, but what else within the music? What was that song about, etc. You know.
How long have you been at Gallo for?
5 years consulting. Okay. Yeah.
We are celebrating 100 years of Gallo, started in 1926. And it's quite interesting because at that stage, there weren't many record labels in that format around. And to start off in South Africa and Africa in that period of time was quite visionary, foresight. And for the 100 celebration, what is Gallo doing? I know there's going to be a whole bunch of different things happening during this course of this year.
Events, vinyl. We've been reissuing vinyl with Mr. Vinyl Samp, but we will be doing some vinyl this year. We are collaborating with a lot of media partners, providing them with playlists. Prime Media is one of them, you know, with the radio stations. Sky FM is another one. Other stuff I can't talk about, but we are building up to a big show at the end of the year. The most important and the core of it is paying tribute to all these artists and these songs that have made Gallo what it is today, that have contributed to this brand, you know, that have made the Rooster this memorable icon. I said to someone, you know, going down Jan Smuts when Gallo used to be on Wood Street, I would see the Gallo logo, and you don't know the extent of what Gallo is, but as a child, I remember just looking at a CD and at the back it says Gallo, or a vinyl it says Gallo. Then you start associating this Gallo thing with good music. Oh, this thing is the soundtrack of my life. Oh, okay. So at home we play this thing. If it's not Gallo, it's the MI Brigade or CCP, whatever. But the most prominent was always Gallo, always Gallo, always Gallo. And I don't know what it is. It kind of stuck with me. And I was saying to one of my colleagues, Alex, documentary makers, we are working on a documentary, Gallo 100 documentary. And I said the earliest memory I have of being in downtown, was by President Street. It's now Helen Joseph Street, behind the old post office, where it's now a basketball court, and it used to be a small parquet. And I was eating ice cream. I was chilling there with my mom, and that's where Gallo once had offices. And that's like one of the earliest memories I have. Probably the only memory I have of me at 4 years old. So it's almost like these things get planted to you energetically. You get drawn into, no, sit here, have your ice cream. One day you will, oh yeah, no, go past here. You see that logo, it's red, the rooster. Don't worry, Life has a way of doing that.
How important do you feel music is and record labels are in the current music space?
Music is very important. Music connects us. Music feels us. Music understands us. It's an energy you cannot place. You don't know where music lives, where it comes from. Nobody knows its origins. No one can say our music started here on this island in the year 200 BC. No, it's just something that's always been there. I've always been interested in music, especially indigenous musics of the world, worldwide, wherever you are, because I think there is a common thread. So music is important. There's a song for every mood, a song for every theme, for every occasion. There is just a song for everything. So music is important. It's synonymous to breathing. And how important are record labels? I think record labels are a big part of the music biosphere.
Yes.
The creative industry. They're a huge part. As an artist, there was a time I didn't believe in record labels. But now I look back and I'm like, it's just I didn't have an understanding of their importance in this biosphere that has all these ecosystems. So record labels are important. Music publishing companies are important. Artists should have their own record labels and music publishing companies for the protection, the management, for monetization of their IP and their copyright. They are very important. And I mean, it kind of sucks that, there was a period we had a lot of independent labels in South Africa, and it's not like that anymore. I feel like we need to go back to that, where artists realize how much power they have, not just as artists, but as creative entrepreneurs, and how everything contributes to the economy of the country.
I'd love your observation of this next topic, being in a label. Obviously, in South Africa, we don't have much access at all, if at all, because there aren't really any stores anymore. I like to get my CDs. I still budget for my CDs every month. For me, it's an energy exchange to the artist, to the label, to say thank you for all the hard work. I'm sure you are aware there's a massive uptick, especially around the world, UK, Australia, Europe, of the physical.
Japan, yeah.
About 3 years ago in the UK, 5.9 million vinyls sold, the biggest since 1990. Last year, also in the UK, there's a basket of products that they gauge exchanges on. There needs to be a high number of exchanges daily for a product to be in the basket, and they monitor it for tax purposes. Because of the upsurge of CDs again, CDs are now back in the basket. And the research is showing it's the teenagers, it's the younger kids diving into this world, not necessarily the older nostalgic people. Then we have Spotify, DSPs that people consume music on. What is your observation of the landscape at the moment?
I'm aware of the rise in physical copies in the last couple of years, in the last 10 or so years, 15 years. Vinyl has become one of the biggest formats. People are slowly buying into vinyl. And now we know that a lot of people who are collecting vinyl don't even listen to the vinyl. It's just the idea of having it shelved, etc. as an art, kind of like this modern, timeless artifact. Same with CDs. But I think the CD story now in the context of 2026 is different, is because everyone knows that this digital world is not sustainable. There's a lot of people who are secretly, or not even secretly, who talk about this digital exodus that, okay, this is too much now. It's repetitive. Literally, our brains feel like servers. I have too much screen time and I'm online a lot. I was telling my girlfriend that I'm like, I feel like a server. Like, I feel my brain is heating up. She's like, yeah, I know what you mean, So I think it's also that, because of the younger generation also rediscovering things like iPod, rediscovering old music. It's they're rediscovering, but they're discovering it for the first time. So to them, it's like, wait, I actually don't have to have data and be on a streaming site. I can just have songs loaded to this thing, 1,000 songs, and just listen. Oh, what is this? A Walkman? Oh, CDs and scratches, but I still collect CDs. I still collect vinyl. I think it's an important thing to have a relationship with music. Music is not just a disposable thing. It's not something we listen to in passing. I make time to sit and put on a record and listen to it. We used to have that relationship with music where you'd wait for your favorite band to drop an album, go and buy that album, go into Musical, look and listen, buy it and listen to it for months.
Yes.
Listen to it for months until it's scratched, until your friend steals it from you.
You see, that would never happen to me because I would not let them touch it.
Or a sibling or a parent steals it from you because it's so good. Now they are buying, now you're buying them a copy. So I think we are going back to people having a relationship with music and not just this thing that is so saturated that you only listen to an album in a week and next week is out. My go-to is still old songs.
Yeah.
I take time to listen to new music, but when I do, I treat it like how I've always treated music. I listen to it again and again. Even if it's good, I will listen to it repeatedly and I'm a fan for life. So I think it's just that digital exodus. It's people going back to analog. It's people having a relationship with something that really means a lot to them, which is music.
How is Gallo navigating all the different iterations of access points in the music space at the moment?
Obviously, our biggest business is streaming and catalog because that's where the industry is at. And to your previous point and question, South Africa almost always does this, right? Even just the world. We had tape. Someone said, no, we had shellac. Someone said, no, these things are too heavy. Let's migrate to vinyl as we know it today, whatever, 180 grams, whatever. And then we had tape. And Philips came and said, no, there's something. It looks like a record, but it's not a record.
Yeah.
And it's small. And you can carry tons of them. They're not as heavy as records. Cool. Now CD. Okay. No. No more CD. Now we are streaming. You don't have to carry these things. You can have all of it in an iPod. No more iPod. Now we're streaming. And now we're going back. So it's like this circle or cycle. It does this. As a record company or as record companies, we were also caught up in that loop where it's like, oh snap. We just stopped selling CD because sales were declining massively. We're losing money and we can't manufacture these things anymore. Cool. Get rid of them. Have whatever stock is left in your warehouse. In fact, close warehouses. Now you're cutting overheads, etc. There's no need to have a warehouse now. Now you've got this digital thing. That is not for free, by the way. There's still digital infrastructure that you are leasing, for lack of a better word, from someone who owns it, whether it's Virgin Music, who we distribute through, etc. Now vinyl is back. So we're embracing all of it as it comes. It's like, cool, there's space for vinyl. Cool, let's do vinyl. The vinyl market is not as big in South Africa as it is in Europe, in the US, for various factors. One of them being the postal service. Our postal service is not in good shape. And in fact, we don't have a postal service anymore. So those are factors where for you to buy vinyl that's marked up at this, it's already at this amount, and now courier, it's for people who can really afford it. But I think the more people age or grow up, the more young professionals we have, the more people have money, we'll probably see that vinyl market grow in South Africa. CDs, I think they will still come. We have one of our new artists, K-Kid. She's a rapper. She had this idea. She's like, I want to do CDs. We did CDs for her, for her album, Bite the Bullet. And she just wanted to give them away to her fans, her super fans, rather, because she did a limited run. So even with vinyl, it's dead. We are doing limited runs of vinyl because you can't do 500. And there's a whole backlog and bottleneck of vinyl pressing. As you know, you need a longer lead time. So there's a lot of factors that affect the vinyl situation, the physical format, etc. Whereas, the digital format, yes, it's got its own kind of processes, but it's not as hectic. It's not as hectic. Yeah, you still have to get things right. You still need to get your metadata right. You still have lead times as per streaming sites. You still have to pitch for playlists like you used to pitch for radio, etc. But having said that, the other traditional element is still overlooked. You know, young artists don't know that you still need to go and plug your music in radio. There are a lot of radio stations. You know, radio is still a format a medium that I don't think will come to an end, not anytime soon. Radio will always be there because of the live element and other things that make radio unique.
100 years of Gallo, 100 years of music. The podcast is listened to throughout the world. As a final message to the audience, giving a message of tunes, melodies, and inspiration, what would you like to say?
Support local music. You know, we used to have that local is lekker thing. Support local music. Support local artists. I'm from an period where, you know, we could go to Roxy's in Melville, go to Bohemian, go to Baseline, go to the Baseline, go to, I think it was called Wolves on Collect. That was owned by Shane from Desmond and the Tutus. It was a scene. There was MK89. Yes, it was an Afrikaans, but we enjoyed it. You would watch it and then switch back to Channel O, switch back to Trace. There was movement. There was fun. We were enjoying. There was a scene. You know, it was a period where we were all aspiring musicians. We also kind of like, there was this hope. There was this, we can go overseas. You know, we used to go overseas. We can do like a 10 to 20 date run, etc. We need that. We need to be, I don't want to use the word patriotic, but we need to own our own shit. We need to embrace our own music, our own artist in whatever genre before we can embrace someone from abroad. That goes a long way. It has a lot of ripple effects. The ripple effects of supporting local, the ripple effects of supporting any artist, you will see them. So I think I would say just support local music. I know that sounds old school and cliche, but no. Actually, support local music. Puts bread on someone's table, puts money in someone's pocket at the end of the day. And if you really love music and you love artists, you know, do that. Support that. Own it. You know, as the audience, own it. And own it even physically. Go and buy the CD and own it. I own a piece of that music. You know, you don't own the copyright, but you own it. You can do whatever you want to do with it. Yeah. You can play it in your car. You can play it anywhere because you bought it. You bought into it and you own it.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Celeb Savant. Please follow Barrett on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at Celeb Savant. That's CelebSavant.